Looks like we are now live. So bear with me just to make sure 100% that we are. It says you are now streaming live. So let me just make sure on YouTube that we are. Hello, everyone, if you've just tuned in. I just want to make sure we don't do a 30-minute show without actually putting this live on YouTube. First time doing this, so it's still not saying that we are. It says it here that we're live, but are we actually live on YouTube? The joys of technology. Live on YouTube. Right, I still can't see it live. So if we are live, and this is really boring, I do apologize. We tested this earlier and it worked absolutely fine. And now we're just making sure that we are live. Joys of technology. Oh, on YouTube. Yeah, we are good. I've just got to turn the sound off on this so it doesn't bear through. Right, okay. Let's get going. Hello, I'm James George and welcome to My Neighborhood Guide to Lockdown. Each episode, we're going to be talking to a different local San Diego business owner and see how and if they are coping and adapting to the current situation and see how we can support our local businesses. For the first episode, we are joined by Josh from Skyzone. Hello, and how are you?
Hey, how are you? And welcome to everybody who's getting a chance to listen live today.
So, first of all, tell us, how is it actually with yourself and your family, you know, lockdown, all of that? Tell us just a little bit about that first.
Yeah, well, since last time we talked, you know, I have my 2 daughters and wife. I will tell you, I think like everybody that's listening right now, it's a big adjustment. You know, so both the girls are in elementary school. And so, you know, both of them are now essentially home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for we don't know how long, the foreseeable future, probably maybe even until the fall. And so life looks like my wife now homeschooling. Yep. 2.5 hours per day because the kids dial in and are, you know, doing school virtually. And then my wife has to try to help tutor and kind of teach them. So that's a big adjustment. And I would say more than anything, just finding a way to keep their imagination and keep their entertainment up versus just watching TV all day, because that's kind of the default, you know, they want to kind of lean towards. Has been a real challenge. But I will tell you this, we have had dinner together as a family with more consistency and more, I think, enjoyable family time in the evening than we probably had in a long time. So there's some silver lining in the midst of all this challenge.
Yes, I think I've seen my wife more and spent more time with her in the evenings because we're so desperate to get our kids down.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm like, she's been with the kids all day. She's like, James, I don't care what work you've got to do. You are going to see me right now. I need some adult conversation. So our relationship's probably better than ever, even though things are more difficult at home with the kids. Yeah, so there are some positives to come out of all of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, tell us a bit about your business, Skyzone, what it's about. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, through My Neighborhood Guide, they can actually see the videos where we came to see your place. Tell us a bit about it.
Love it. So Skyzone, we have Skyzone San Marcos and Skyzone Carlsbad. The easiest way that I explain it to somebody who's never been to it before is we do family entertainment around an active lifestyle. And so, what your level of activity is based on each individual. And so you can come into our parks and we do birthday parties, we do walk-in entertainment, we do anything all above, but it's active. And so it's a way to find an active lifestyle through play. And so we have trampolines, we have parkour, we have Ninja Warrior, we have stunt zones, we have basketball slamming areas, we have warped walls, we have all these different ways that based on your interest and your activity level, you can come in and walk out burning calories, smiling the whole time, getting a high five from your family and your friends for doing something you've never done before. And that's really what we're all about.
I've been going to your San Marcos one for a while now. And then when we found out you were going to be opening your Carlsbad one, because we live in Carlsbad, we were just thrilled. We obviously came down even before it opened and we did a video. And then we were coming along about once a week to it. And it was packed. What was it, literally like 6 weeks ago? We came down there, probably less than that. I don't even know what time of day it is at the moment. But we came down there and you guys were packed. It was a massive success. And I gather, things were going really well, weren't they?
Yeah, the San Marcos store really services San Marcos and Escondido and some of the edges of Vista, but wildly successful because I think people in our community want an active way to get their kids to have a great lifestyle. We lived in Carlsbad for years, and we know as residents of Carlsbad, you go other places to get entertainment. You go other places to the movie theater, you go over here to get entertainment. There was never an anchor or a place in Carlsbad you could really take the family for this type of attraction. And so, when we opened it, from the day we opened February 1st, all the way to the day we were forced to close on the 16th of March, the feedback was outstanding. The reviews were off the chart. And I will tell you, the parents walking out saying, thank you so much for giving us this option. We've been driving to Oceanside. We've been driving to San Marcos. We've been driving, down to, Del Mar. Now we can stay here in our community was just, and by the way, it's because we went over the top with this facility too. We wanted it to be a Carlsbad caliber, kind of a store. So it's been really fun to see the reaction.
But then obviously things completely changed.
Yeah.
I remember getting the emails, etc., from you guys. So the coronavirus hit. We kind of went on a semi-lockdown to begin with. How did you react to that in regards to your business? Because I remember seeing a few emails and you were trying to adapt to try and keep the place open, but still trying to obviously not, help the virus spread. So what did you do to begin with?
Yeah, I've always taken the approach, I'm an active owner. I'm not passive, I'm not behind the scenes. I'm not, somebody that just checks in from time to time. And so I was personally reviewing the notices from the city, from the state, from, Governor Newsom, and going through and really saying, how can we still provide a service to the community? Because there's still families with kids that want to be entertained, but do it within the guidelines. And so we were adding sanitation stations. We were changing our admission. We lowered our, total number of capacity in the store. And so we were spreading people out. And we have 33,000 square feet at Carlsbad and 23,000 square feet at San Marcos. And so that gives us a lot of flexibility to separate people if we lower our capacity and still provide a really, relatively safe environment as we got further and further along. And so I think my whole approach from the start was, instead of being reactive, how can we really be a leader, kind of set the standard for how to apply some of these guidelines that are coming down, but not just close at the first obstacle we run into. Yeah. We did eventually make the choice to close, but leading up to it, I think we tried to be really proactive.
So then obviously you had to close your doors. So what is life like right now? You've obviously got this massive facility that you're spending a lot of money on, and I'm guessing you have no income right now from that. Tell us a little bit about that, and just, be completely honest about what the situation is.
Yeah, I think honesty is a great policy, because I think there might be some people that can relate to our situation. So, my wife and I, this is what we do as business owners. There's no safety net. There's nothing else on the side that I'm doing, now that Skyzone is closed. This is my investment and where my wife and I want to provide for our family. And so we were forced to close on the 16th when they restricted it down to no more than 10 people could be in any business that provides food service and entertainment. And so the interesting thing for us, the positive is that we have such a large facility that weighs very heavily upon our ability as a business to kind of be successful, because when you think about it, we're still paying for 33,000 square feet because we don't have any abatement from our landlord. I wish I could say they were more accommodating and willing to work with us, but that's just not the case. They're in business to be a business, and they expect us regardless if we're open or closed. So it's been a real challenge to not get any relief from the landlord.
This is actually something this is really interesting to me, is have you had any help with that? Have they said you can delay the payments or anything, or have you still got to pay the same amount of money every month?
Same amount every single month. They are taking the position that they will talk to me on a week-to-week basis, but are not willing to commit to anything long-term. And so I have every reason to believe, 10 days before the end of this month, we'll be back having to talk again. It's not an ideal situation. For many business owners, the lease is never written as a equitable lease between a landlord and a tenant on the business side on commercial. If you read through a commercial lease, it's not equitable. It leans in the favor of the landlord because they're the one providing that lease to you. And so, unless you have a mom and pop that owns a building that you've rented from that is more favorable and willing to work with you, it is written, in fact, there's even clauses in it that a force majeure can't even be applied, because they write it out that a force majeure would only apply if it was a damage that they caused or a contractor caused to the building, not a virus. And so
it's a really, for me personally, just to give people an idea, that I don't believe that's how these people should work, because most of the time these companies that own big buildings, they are normally way more financially secure than me and you. I sold our business in the UK. We've got a children's entertaining company, and people can't have princess parties right now. We literally just sold the business. They paid us percentage up front, and then they're paying it off every 3 months. So kind of like a lease. And the first thing we said to them was, don't worry about the first payment after 3 months. We said we can work out a system that later on down the line you can pay that back, whichever way we work it. But we said to them straight away, don't worry about that, because whilst we're not rich, we could do with that money. We should be able to survive right now. And I know they financially, put themselves on the edge purchasing the business. Having no income at all is probably going to affect them more. So I've been nice. So it annoys me straight away that there are people like you in the situation, you're not even getting any help here.
Yeah, and I think, and maybe people on the listening can relate to this. I'm not a dirtbag tenant who has a failing business with a bad business model and no ability to be successful, who's just trying to drag out the inevitable, is that I'm going to go bankrupt. That's not the situation. You have a great tenant who's highly active, who wants to be successful for many years, who has a successful business model, like many people that are probably listening right now, and for no fault of their own, had to completely shut down with zero revenue from an exact point in time. But they aren't treating it necessarily, in my opinion, as this little bubble that should be looked at as a unique bubble. I think they're still viewing it from what they've always viewed it on, is why can't you pay? Well, what do you mean you can't pay? They're actually asked for me to turn in all my financials, my personal financials, everything, because I have every reason to believe they want to turn around and use that against me and say,
because if they see any form of success from before financially, they're going to try and pull that out first, dry you clean of all your money, and then be like, okay, he's got no money now, so we'll let him off. So
it's a real challenge. I just wish, I wish we would be able to have reasonable conversations with these commercial landlords who would say, look, I'm not a dirtbag. I'm very successful. I will be successful. This point in time should not have any bearing on my and your relationship as a tenant and a landlord, because it's a set point in time. It's finite. It might be 30 days. It might be 60 days. Why put at risk a tenant who's willing to be with you for 10 years over 60 days?
And the truth is, if, for example, you can't pay it and it gets to the point where you have to close, and that is unfortunately happening with businesses. I know there are going to be many businesses that do not open after this. Now, I'm praying you're not one of them, but the truth is that is going to happen. They then have got to try and find another tenant. And no one's going to be taking up leases on places after this has happened. So it makes no economical sense to not keep your tenant happy, because they can still get all the same money over the 10-year period. They could just say to you right now, do you know what? We'll add it on to the last couple of years rent or whatever it is of your, anyway, that's one thing which straight away is something that I didn't know about the situation. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people in the same boat. So that's something which I think as a community that we can work on straight away. And maybe we can start putting pressure on these people. I was going to talk about at the end, how can we help businesses? That is already one way I think we can. Everyone's using social media to share a lot of information at the moment. I think this is one thing that we can do, is put pressure on the landlords that potentially have got millions of dollars. Help out your tenants.
I agree.
So that's one thing. What about, you have quite a few staff. What's happened with them? Have any of them still got jobs? Like, because I know what you're like. I'm lucky. I only have one member of actual full-time staff. I've managed to keep her on, and I'm going to keep her on as long as I physically can. And I know you're the type of guy that will help and support them as much as possible, but there is a line there. So what have you done?
Well, I think the more people can tie the two things together, we are not just business owners. Myself and the other people on this line are not just business owners with a little box that people come in and pay a little bit and go do something. We employ 86 people in the community that did not have a job prior to us having San Marcos and Carlsbad. That's 86 people. We made the choice to not lay off a single person. So we have every single one of our team that's still on our team. They're all ready to go. Now, we have applied for the PPP 7A loan.
And that was one of my questions I was going to ask.
So we're going to front the cost, and we have none of our team are laid off. They're all active, but I'm home, obviously. Nobody's here at the store working, but they're all employed from home. But I do encourage for business owners, it's a confusing process. It's hard to work through, but you need to do the due diligence to apply for that SBA PPP loan.
My understanding of it is, because I've done a similar thing, am I correct in saying that you can get 10,000 pretty much like without many strings attached or anything like that? You can get 10,000.
Right. So that's the EIDL loan. So that's the emergency injury disaster loan. So there's two different loans that are out there. You've got the SBA EIDL loan, which is for disasters that they repurpose for this one. And then there's the PPP loan, which is the Payroll Protection Program loan. The EIDL loan is the one that once you get approved for it, they drop 10,000 in your bank account right away. And then the rest of the money, let's say another 50,000 comes, 30 days later when the loan finally goes through. You can use that for any expenses. You can use that for invoices that are, past due now because you weren't able to pay.
I got a feeling that's hardly going to touch even 1 month commercial lease for you.
Right. No, that would help. The PPP loan, which is for the payroll protection loan, they will give you 2.5 months worth of your average payroll from 2019. So they're going to take 2019, average it out, and say, hey, your average payroll that you paid as a business owner was $20,000 a month. So we're going to give you 2.5 times that. So we're going to give you $50,000. If you turn back around and pay that money to your employees, we will forgive that money 100%, all of it. Which is great because it helps you support them. What's the why would they do that?
The Carlsbad ones?
The reason they want you to do that is they want you to make sure your employees come off of unemployment for the business owners that weren't able to keep their team on and have their staff. And so you're able to, bring those employees off unemployment, pay them through your business, and at the end of that time have zero in that program. So if you spend $50,000 on payroll over that 8-week period, at the end of that 8 weeks, that loan is completely forgiven. You have nothing left that you owe. It's pretty amazing.
You mentioned something about 2019. What about all the people that you had employed in Carlsbad that are new employees? Can you help them?
Yeah. So if you're a new business that was not in business in 2019, they take your average of January and February. They average those 2 months together and say, okay, the average of your payroll in January and February was X. So we'll give you 2.5 times that. And then you've got to bring your staff back on and pay them. So you got 2 different calculators depending on when you're in business.
So in the short term, you got a little bit of help here. You're going to be helping with the wages. So short term, things you should be okay. You should be able to survive, which is obviously great news. You're not going to be in a great financial position. You're not going to be paying yourself and going to buy a Ferrari, put it that way. But at least the staff can survive, and you don't have to. So there's definitely some good news there. It's not all bad news, which is great.
Yeah. Our commitment, my wife and I, we want to keep our employees whole. We don't want any of them to have to leave and go somewhere else. We intend on paying them for the duration of that time period, and our hope is that around that time, when that's kind of finished, that we're maybe starting to get open back up in that situation. But it's tight.
That leads on to my next question. Okay, fingers crossed we come out of lockdown relatively soon. We don't know when that is. I've got a feeling myself it might be the summer, whether that's the beginning or the end we'll wait and see. But it's not going to be this full, right, everyone go out and party. It's going to be probably a slow process, and there's going to be certain rules in place.
Yeah.
What are you mentally preparing for in regards to the business? What do you feel as though you might be allowed to do or not allowed to do? I'm just intrigued what the mindset businesses have at the moment, because some people are a little bit naive at the moment and think in just a few weeks' time we're going to go back to normal.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and I'd be pleasantly surprised if I was, but I have no reason to believe, because there's not a therapeutic and there's not a vaccine. And so if we just turn our community back on and let everybody out and don't have restrictions and ways that we're being protected, we're going to be back in the exact same position we're at, with the curve spiking back up, because this is a communal disease passed from person to person through the air with no treatment to really address that. And so I have every reason to believe that we will absolutely be in a altered state of business for at least through the end of this year. And so I'm not anticipating personally that business will ever return back to the state it was prior to this occurring in 2020. I do think there's gonna be pent up demand. I think parents are gonna want to get out of their house once they get the ability to. I think they're gonna wanna throw parties, because nobody wants to tell their 9-year-old daughter that you can't have a birthday party because of coronavirus. And so I think there will be ways that we adjust our life and it looks differently. But I would share with business owners, I don't expect it to go back to normal. I think that's false hope. I think you build your budget and your capital expenditure and where you're going to be financially with the expectation that you will not probably return to prior sales numbers in 2020.
And are you thinking what you did to begin with might be what you have to do when you first open? In regards to, sanitizing areas everywhere, people being spaced between, jumpers, and only allowed to have a certain amount of people in the building. Is that what you're expecting and budgeting for?
I do. Yeah, we're anticipating, and we're already working on securing right now. So we're going to get, I think we'll have Skyzone branded face masks that we wear, that we're, sourcing it from places
I love that.
Yep. Yeah. So we're sourcing it from manufacturers that don't supply to the medical industry or to vital services. But we're looking at, just like you come in, you buy Skyzone socks, your jump ticket will include your Skyzone little face mask. And These aren't going to look like medical, face masks. Fun, exciting, different designs, things that kids feel really excited about. The other thing I think we'll probably see a little bit differently going forward is more private events. And so, I think it's going to be important to a parent to say, look, in the past, I paid for a private event. So if I did a birthday party, I could spend an extra $100 and get dodgeball all to myself for my kids.
Yeah.
I think as a business owner, I'm going to, in the future, probably for a foreseeable future until we get past this coronavirus, say, look, you don't have to pay for private courts anymore. If you want to book a birthday party, it comes with a private court because I want you to feel like you've got a space that's just for you. So if I'm bringing my 10 kids for my birthday with my family, I get a private room just for my family, and I get main court, and nobody else is on that space than the people that I brought to my birthday party. And so I think thinking about as a business owner, how can you create spaces that allow people to not interact with anyone they don't want to interact with is probably a smart thing to start thinking about now. And instead of charging people for that or finding a way to make money off of that, just make that part of your business for the rest of the year. And so those are kind of things that I think are really important to think about.
One thing I think I just assumed that there's no way of you generating income right now, but is there any way? Have you probably spent and brainstormed a lot of ways? I know that Carlsbad Dance Center, for example, my daughter, they're doing online ones, and restaurants can start doing takeaway, and people have been able to adapt. And I've spent a few minutes before we came on, I'm thinking, is there any idea that I could come up with? I gather you thought about this a lot. Is there any way of you generating income at the moment?
Yeah, and I hate to say it, there might be some people like me. Let me give you this scenario. We didn't just on March 17th start with zero revenue from that point forward, cold heart, complete stop. We're negative on a daily basis because my wife and I decided to proactively pause all memberships. So everybody that had reoccurring membership, we proactively said, you know what, we're not going to bill you for that. It's not your fault that this happened. So we froze all our memberships. We have nobody walking in, and we refunded every single birthday deposit that was on the books for all of March and all of April. So we actually were negative revenue on a consistent basis for almost 2 weeks solid as we were refunding all of those birthday deposits. So I think there's probably some other business owners are like me that it's like, look, we're not just zero revenue. We actually had negative revenue over that period of time. So it's a real challenge. I would share two things that maybe other business owners you kind of think about as well, which is pre-booking of activities in the future. And so, parents, whatever your industry is or whatever you provide, we provide birthday parties for families. People can still book a birthday party right now for June.
I was going to ask that if someone wanted to financially help other businesses, like I'm trying to get as much takeaway as possible right now to keep restaurants open. So how can, obviously some people financially need every penny that they have got right now to survive, but there's going to be other people who are financially in a good position right now that can help. How could they help a business like you? Could they book a party in advance and knowing that hopefully in 6 months' time they can have that party?
Yeah, I think very few business owners ask for charity, me included. And so, saying, hey, just send money to Skyzone or send money to this particular business. Most business owners want to be successful because they're providing a service. And so that's where I think two things: birthdays, so pre-booking, and then gift cards. Because I can feel satisfied as a business owner that yes, you're helping me with providing some revenue so we can get through this, but I also feel satisfied that you can turn around at some point and use that service. If you're pre-booking a birthday party, I know I get to turn around and give you a wonderful birthday party in the future. If you buy a gift card, I also know that I get to turn around and give you a great experience when you come in and use that gift card. And so that's where I think you move from charity to we both are mutually helping each other out and feeling like there's a benefit.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good, and that's something straight away that I'll probably even do. So that's fantastic. Summer activities, for example, that's another thing I was going to mention to you about. You guys were going to be unbelievably busy with. I gather as things like that just gone out of the window now. summer school for the kids and doing all of that?
Yeah, we provide summer camp at Skyzone San Marcos and had intentions to provide summer camp, here, which by the way is a tremendous need for families that are working with dual income to be able to have care for their kids that's not the same repetitive, and that they're not necessarily at a daycare where they're not active and doing some of the things that older kids, which is our demographic, really need. And so right now, unfortunately, you're exactly right. It's up in the air. We don't want to offer and provide a service that families would sign up for or say that they want their kids to participate in until we can, with a lot of confidence, say that we can provide it in a way that's safe, comfortable, and that we'll be open to actually provide that. And so, yeah, I think unfortunately we're going to be in a situation like many businesses where parents are going to have to wait. They're going to have to pay attention to updates. And I think businesses are then going to release what they're able to do. And it will need to be first come, first serve. And so I think there's going to be a little bit of a rush once we start going back to normally of things like summer camp, where parents are like, oh my God, Skyzone just announced it. It's a fantastic program. It's a great price point. Oh, my kids, I need to get in that quickly because I think they're going to be absolutely sold out very quickly this year because of that pent up demand.
So I work in real estate, and what we're finding right now is a lot of people are panicking and they're just shutting down. They're just sitting at home and watching Netflix, and they're not going out there and actively trying to get business because it's a tough industry right now. What I'm always intrigued about is what other businesses are doing. Even if you can't generate money, what are you doing to stay in contact with your client base? Have you, sent an email out? Have you done any, what are you doing right now just to stay in touch with them?
So I think one thing's really important. I think at this time, although I would love to focus on sales, that's not really, in my opinion, appropriate. And so we've really made the decision that all of our communications are around just making sure that people stay connected with us with no ulterior motive. And so our Facebook posts are around, activities you can do at home to be healthy. Our Facebook posts have been around, updates for families that are, coming out from the state and from the city to make sure they know and are aware of some of those updates. Yeah. And I think, the more as a business owner, you can say, look, my job right now is just to stay connected with my customers. It's not to prepare them to create revenue for me as a business owner. There will be a time and a place to talk about sales and opportunities and what you can do to bring revenue back to your business. But we've really taken the position just to be connected.
And I've done exactly the same. Yeah, it's like right now, I'm not going to be pressurizing someone to buy or sell a home. It's just not, if someone wants to, then we technically are an essential service, and we can try and find, we can do different things to try and help people go and look at homes. But the truth is right now, most people aren't going to be comfortable buying or selling their house. So real estate pretty much is on pause right now. And all we're doing as a business is just reaching out to people saying, are you okay right now? And offering support. And and that's obviously all businesses. That's what we really can do. And it's, as you say, it's not about making money or benefiting from this situation. It's just about being, this is why I'm doing this, is to try and help and support each other. So, and then one more thing, this, it's quite a tough thing to answer, but how long could you survive going like this? Like, have you budgeted and gone, we need to come out of lockdown at some point in the next 6 months, for example? Because I think people really do need to know that this isn't just this happy thing of sitting at home watching Netflix. Businesses are going to go under. So, what are you forecasting? Like, how long could you survive like this?
Yeah, and for full transparency, I think it's helpful for business owners to know that, we had just opened Skyzone Carlsbad literally February 1st, and we're closed down 46 days later when they locked it down on and we run Skyzone San Marcos. We had 16 days of revenue in March, but with most business owners, all of our bills come on 30-day accrual, which means all of the bills for February were due in March. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're all 30-day accrual, right? And so we only got, and when you think about that, we had 46 days of bills and only 15 days of revenue that all hit in the month of March. Because all those vendors from March, as soon as things closed down, immediately started sending out their invoices because they didn't want to wait 30 days either. So in the month of March, we had technically 46 days of account payable and 16 days of revenue. Skyzone San Marcos is not in a good situation. And for business owners that are, doing the math and looking at the numbers, Skyzone San Marcos would not be viable by the end of this month if I didn't personally now put my own personal money in to front the expenses of Skyzone San Marcos. It would go bankrupt, it would close, it would not even be in existence for the community. That's the reality of where we are. You can't have 45 days of bills and 16 days of revenue and a cold hard stop to zero, which is a real challenge. Skyzone Carlsbad, we are good all the way through April and all the way through May. If this extended beyond the month of May and started into June, where we still had no revenue, Carlsbad would be in the same situation. So if you think of that, you take it together, both businesses would be financially insolvent within 60 days.
So the government help is obviously being able to help you to a certain extent, but that obviously, I don't think they can just keep printing money forever. So at some point, the truth is we need to come out of lockdown and you need to get some income.
Yeah, two things. First, I would say, I don't know a single business owner has gotten any of the lending. Nobody I know has gotten the EIDL loan.
Right.
Nobody has gotten the PP. Not a single person. I know a lot of business owners, nobody's gotten the funding yet. So as of currently today, there is no rescue provided to business owners. You're fronting the money on your own. It's your cash going out the door, and you're hoping that eventually, your queue number gets pulled up and they get to you. So that's the first. Secondly, when that money gets issued out, that is going to be a blessing. And I'm very grateful that the government has stepped in and done that. I think people need to do due diligence to understand the programs and apply for it. And I think you've missed an opportunity if you step back and say, that's not for me, I don't do government loans. This is absolutely different from every other loan they've done. It's the best terms ever. It's designed to help you. Take a moment and go take advantage of it. And that's what I would say. But the problem is, James, it's going to run out. And that will be a real problem. We either have to be open and doing business at that point, or they're going to have to fund and add more to those resources. And I'd rather the first option. I'd rather be open and generating my own revenue versus asking for another handout.
Yeah. So how are we best getting in contact with you? How are we best, following you? What's your website, the social media? And if anyone's got any ideas, for example, that they are like, do you know what? I think this would be a great idea. I think you could generate money, because you never know, someone might be sat here watching this going, they could do this. How do we get in contact with you?
Yeah, easy. So both of our websites are www.skyzone.com/either San Marcos or /Carlsbad. Pretty straightforward. I would say our most active right now, since our team is working from home, are just our ability to interact with our Facebook. And so that's pretty easy. It's at Skyzone San Marcos and at Skyzone Carlsbad, and that's really, I think, the best way for us to interact with our customers right now.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Josh. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think, I think all of us just being honest and understanding this is a really stressful time. These are not businesses with signs on the wall that don't have a family behind it, trying every day, every night to figure out how they can keep their business alive. And when customers do get the green light to go back, I think people just need to realize that means a lot to us to have our customers come back and to support us. And so on behalf of, I think, a lot of business owners, it's real. The hurt is definitely here, and we look forward to hopefully seeing our customers again.
Well, I know what a fantastic venue you've got. I know what a great guy you are as well. I'm trying to be really positive throughout this, and I know you're a positive guy. So fingers crossed we come out of lockdown in some way. We can keep your business open, keep it going to the end of the year. As you know, it's not going to flourish straight away. Long term, the community gets behind you and you guys start have a big thriving business again. So thanks so much for coming on, Josh. Hope you and your family keep safe. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock with a different business. We've got Choice Juicery coming on next Tuesday. So thanks everyone for joining in, and thanks again, Josh, for your time, mate, and good luck with everything.
Absolutely.
I really do hope that everything's going to be good for you. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.